Hi.
Hello viewers, Assalamu alaikum. I'm your host Sharik Javed from German city of Munich, and today we have a very special guest. Mr. Wali Muhammad is from Waterloo, Canada. And hello, welcome to the show. Assalamu
Thank you
alaikum.
very much, Sharik. It's such a pleasure. Thanks for having me on your show. And my God, it's such a strange experience. Last time we were together, back in 2007 or 8, that
Hmm.
was the time in Pakistan. And look at us now. You're
Yes,
sitting in Germany, and I'm in Canada, Waterloo.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's amazing. So it's amazing for me also because back then when I was a young guy, I'm still young maybe, but that time I was a
Oh, you
student.
are still young. Actually, you're growing a little bit older. I am still young.
I have a bit more beard now. Yes. So yes. So at that time, when I was a student doing my electrical engineering bachelor's in Pakistan, and Mr. Wali Muhammad was our teacher that time, and he was teaching us soft skills, communication skills, and he's now teaching, doing the same. He's a organization development consultant in Waterloo, Canada, and today we will talk about a very important topic. And these days, it's not impossible that we are working in a team and we don't have international people working with us. So the world is a global village, and we'll talk about the beauty of cross-cultural teams, but it comes with challenges. We have to adapt to it, and so we'll talk about it. So, first of all, I'd like to ask Mr. Wali Muhammad to briefly introduce himself and share his journey with our viewers.
Oh, thank you very much again, Sharik, for having me on your show. It's such an amazing show. Well, I am basically an organizational development consultant. For the last 6 years, I'm working with Behavioral Skills Company, which is a learning and development organization specializing in igniting teams to peak performance with a focus on diversity and cross-cultural team building. That's what we've been doing for the last 6 years, and it's been amazing work. Before that, I have around, I would say, about 15 years of consulting experience, where I have consulted organizations in Middle East, China, Europe, North America. I've been a university professor as well, so today I am here. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's really great and amazing journey you had, and you are now in since 2013 in Canada, and the working environment is also different in different countries. But you have been very successful in your consultancy role also. And in Canada is also land of immigrants, and also in Germany there are a lot of immigrants here. So people come from different kind of backgrounds. First of all, we will talk about teams. So why are team building and teams so important, and how we can improve working in the teams?
Oh, that's a very interesting question. How long have you been working in Germany?
Since 2012, I'm working full time in Germany. Yes.
Oh, since 2012. That's a long time. You came here to study, and did you spend some time studying for your degree, or you came
Yes, yes.
job straight away?
First of all, I was doing masters in 2009, and then
Right.
yeah,
So now you are working at a tech company. Is that right?
yeah, true.
Now, when you work in your company, are you guys working in teams, or is it just one guy sitting somewhere on a desk and working throughout the day? How's your life?
Of course, we have in all the roles I work here, and I
You
think almost all the viewers, everyone is working in teams also.
Everyone is working in teams. This is one thing that we have noticed during the last about 10 to 15 years, that in whatever organization you go, you're going to come across teams.
Mhm.
But about 10, 15 years back, the environment in organizations used to be different. There used to be hierarchy, and then there was bureaucracy and different types of departments, and then there was a central headquarter. But during the last 15 years, lots of changes have happened. Like information technology has totally changed the way we do business. But there has been another very important change. Look at yourself. You're sitting in Germany. I'm in Canada. In the last 10 years, people's ability to move across countries has increased exponentially. Today, it's very easy for workforce to move from one country to another country and settle down there. Similarly, goods mobility across the countries has been very, very swift and easy.
Hmm.
And because of information technology, organizations gradually started realizing that hierarchy does not matter, and we don't need a central headquarter. We don't need those physical spaces within the offices, and people could work virtually. And gradually, bit by bit, the concept of teams started coming out. So today, if you look at organizations, it's more like a network of integrated teams, and teams are usually very small, and every person is working in different cross-functional capacities. Like you
Yes.
could be a programmer, you could be a coder, and you could be part of like two, three different teams simultaneously. Now,
True.
teams, they essentially increase the speed of business. They generate a lot more revenue, and there is not a lot of bureaucracy involved anymore. Teams are very swift, but there's one major problem with teams. When people come together, they have their differences, and if the businesses have to grow, then they need to give tools to their team members so that they could gel together as a team, not as individuals.
Yes, and you're right that in teams now it's very different. Like before, in olden days, there's a big office for a manager, a smaller office for his subordinate, and the workers are sitting below. Now there are bigger halls. The managers and senior managers are sitting along in the same halls with the workers. So
Yeah,
the hierarchy. So they give the feeling that everybody is equal. The environment is also changing.
yeah. So those days
It's
are
also in the direction of team building, right?
yeah, those days are gone. Now tell me another thing. You're working
Yes.
in Munich. You're working with a tech company,
Mhm.
and do you see all of the people in your teams? They come from Germany, or you see people from all different countries working with you?
Actually, to be honest, in my first two jobs, almost 80% of people were non-Germans. Um, yes, in Munich, it's very international city. I'm sure Canada is even more, but now also in the latest jobs, maybe 50-50 ratio, 50% Germans, 50% from all across the globe. Yes.
So you have people from many different nationalities, many different cultural backgrounds. Did you ever see that communicating with people from different cultural backgrounds is a little bit uh, something that comes with its own challenges?
Yeah, yes, of course. Even example is that for the teams which has only German colleagues, now there are some new members come in, then they have to speak English, and or maybe the new. Also, everybody has their own way to eat, way
Yeah,
to dress. So there are some challenges. You have to adapt to it, and there are some benefits also. But of course there are some challenges. Of course,
it is not.
communication gap is there sometimes. The way to interpret is different. Sometimes people are trying to tell something else. For example, a joke for one community is not a joke for others. People are laughing and the others
Yeah,
are not laughing. These kind of things.
you got to be very careful there,
Yes.
eh? Yeah, so let's try to wrap our audience's head around the challenges of cross-cultural communication. Since you are operating in an environment where you have the opportunity to interact with people from many different cultural backgrounds, let's try to take our audience a bit by bit into the challenges of this type of communication. Well, first of
Mhm.
all, we establish that teams are very important. And the second thing is that once teams are important and people are coming from many different countries, teams are now increasingly multicultural. For
Yes.
example, you were in Pakistan. How did you used to address your teachers here? A university teacher, let's say you have to write an email through your university teacher. How did
Respected
you
dear
start your email?
professor, and this and that, very respectful way, cannot be with a very big distance,
Yeah, would you ever address them by their names?
impossible. Even now I cannot, like with the Pakistani professors, but it's different here. With the teachers it's different, but with the senior professor, even here you have a very respectful tone.
Right. So now that you are in Germany, how would you write your email? Let's say you're writing an email to your supervisor or your manager or your team lead. How are you going to start your email?
With a very friendly note, like friends, like dear, and then first name.
Hey, John, how are you?
Yes, like this. Yeah.
It's exactly like that.
Yes.
But when we were in Pakistan, you would have never been able to say, "Hey, Wali, what's up? How are you?"
No.
So just imagine when you come from a culture like Pakistan, moving to a country like Germany, and you are starting to write your emails. Did you initially go through the experience of writing the emails just like the way you used to do back in Pakistan?
Yes, then we had to change slowly. People used to tell that you can, in Germany, they say that you can use du. It's like you don't have to use the respected Mr. this and that. Instead, you use dear and first name. In team, we use this.
And how much time did it take you to finally come to terms with addressing people by their first names, regardless that they are senior or junior in hierarchy?
Yeah, so with the German colleagues, quickly with the Pakistani colleagues, then we add the word, some polite words together with this, like
So,
bhai or something.
so still, if you're interacting with Pakistani people, you're still practicing your Pakistani culture. Uh,
Yes, so we cannot say first name, we have to add bhai or something with that.
yeah, bhai is brother or sir or
Yes, yes.
yeah. You try to be very very respectful in your language. Now, this is just one of the ways people are different from different cultural backgrounds. Addressing people in the hierarchy is one of the major issues in
Hmm.
cross-cultural teams.
True.
Uh, because let's say there are two types of cultures. Culture A is high context culture, and culture B is a low context culture.
Hmm.
In high context culture, we are part of the entire group. We are so much gelled into the society, and all of our actions mostly are determined by the norms of society.
Hmm.
So, if you address your teacher like, "Hey, Wali," in Pakistan, your society puts a bar on that, and people decide how are you going to address your teachers. Yeah,
Okay.
but when you come to Germany, Germany is a very low context culture, although it's slightly higher than Canadian culture. Canadianism
Yeah, yeah.
is low
Still
context.
much higher. There are still some rules, like, okay, not different to Pakistan, but there are some rules. For example, to some secretaries, even their colleagues, you still use Mrs. This and that.
Exactly. So,
Respected Mrs. There are some rules still here.
yeah. So people coming from high context culture, they are very sensitive to status in the hierarchy. Is it senior people? Is it elderly people? And then they would go to talking to them very respectfully. But once they understand that somebody is higher up in the hierarchy, they usually don't talk much. They usually don't express themselves very frankly. I could give you an example.
True.
Uh, you know what? About 5 years back, there was this Dutch company, and they were trying to build a software. Let's say they were trying to build a software, and they hired a
Mhm.
team of programmers out of Bangalore, India. And everything was decided, and the contract was finalized, and the Dutch company CEO flies to Bangalore, and just to cement the whole deal, have a nice chit chat, create some good faith.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
over there, at dinner time, he's talking to his counterpart, the CEO of the programming company that they hired. And he just asked a question. He was just curious. He said, "You guys are developing this software on this particular platform. You guys are very well versed in using this platform, but in Holland, we use a different platform. And if you ever need to develop this software on the platform that we use in Holland, would you be able to do that?"
Mhm.
And the Indian CEO said, "Yes, we can do that." And the talk was over, and then that person flew back to Holland. And after a while, he figured out that the project is going very slow and the
Okay.
expenses are increasing. And eventually, the project was delayed by 6 months, and there was about $1 million increased expense. So the CEO was very upset. He flew back
Okay.
to Bangalore and just to find out what's going on.
Mhm.
And when he talked to his counterpart, the CEO of that programming company in Bangalore, he said, "Hey, we were supposed to do it way earlier than that. What's going on?" And he said, "Well, you know what? You mentioned that you guys in Holland use a different platform to create to create this software. So we had to spend a lot of time learning that particular platform because
Okay.
we would develop that software on a different platform that we are much used to using in India.
Mhm.
And this Holland CEO, he was upset. He said that I just happened to say that. It was just it was just a chit chat. I didn't exactly mean to say that you guys must use this particular platform that we
Mhm.
in Holland, because eventually our concern is that we want to use the software that you guys are going to be making.
Mhm.
One thing that this Holland CEO was not very well versed in is that in Indian culture and Pakistani culture is pretty much the same type of high context culture.
Mhm.
People usually don't speak up to authorities very comfortably.
Yeah.
When they say something, uh,
Mhm.
usually the person who finds himself in a slightly lower position in the
Yes.
hierarchy,
Then they just accept it. They don't question
yes,
it. Yes. True.
yeah, they don't cross question that.
Mhm.
Put it in the scenario of a brainstorm session for the team. Let's say there is a team and there is people from China, there is people from Japan, there is people from Italy, then there is people from Germany, America, and UK,
Mhm.
and they are all sitting together. Who do you think is going to be the most well prepared person sitting in that meeting? Is it going to be the people from America, Germany, uh, or
For
US?
meetings, we prepare so much normally in our cultures. Normally, I think so.
Yeah,
And the Canadians and US people I meet, they're very casual. In the meetings, they're not afraid of each other. Just casual chat. And actually, it's
that's
also
very
different.
interesting.
It's different, very different to Canadians and Americans. It's very different to in Germany also. It's still very, very, disciplined kind of. Some things are dictated.
Exactly.
Bit
Now,
rigid.
in the high context culture outside Asia, people really prepare for their meetings. They think that in meeting is everybody's is a test of everybody's knowledge. So they would cram everything. They would be very well prepared when they go to meeting. In
Mhm.
the low context culture, meeting is more like a brainstorming session where you do not have to answer all of the questions right, where you just float the ideas and then you're talking about those ideas, and everybody's
Mhm.
allowed to criticize. Everybody speaks up for themselves. But in the high context culture, when people are speaking, they would better watch that what line or what point of view
Mhm.
people in the at the senior level of hierarchy are taking. So they would
True.
look at the boss, or they would look at the manager, what the boss or manager is saying, and they would usually try to tune their point of view accordingly. But brainstorming session in low context culture is mostly about sharing ideas. Everybody speaks up their point of view,
True.
and that's how meetings go. So they are not very nervous about meetings.
Mhm.
Now, if there is a tech team where there's people from these different cultural backgrounds and they're working on developing something, and let's say they have to conduct a meeting, a brainstorming session, would you see that they would have any issues coming up because one guy always try to tune their point of view to the senior people in hierarchy, and some people are always so trigger happy in saying stuff whatever comes to their mind, they just express their point of view. Do you think it's going to create a kind of
Yes. In the beginning, especially until there is a lot of team building efforts done, there will be a lot of problems. Some people are very casual and they will say everything in mind because it's brainstorming. Will not care if the idea is rejected. And some people from different cultures, even from Pakistan, Indian culture, they will be afraid to say something which will be turned down. So they will
exactly?
try to be so correct.
uh,
Unless they are so correct, they will not give the idea. I mean,
oh
like
yeah,
this has to be improved.
very
In the
interesting.
meanwhile,
You
we will also tell that some other old students of you are also watching and they are writing in the comments, and some colleagues also. For example, Mr. Khurshid Malik is saying that I'm pleased to see Mr. Wali Muhammad after a long time. I was program manager at ACE, and he
oh,
had good
oh,
professional
Kushit,
relations.
very nice to hear from you, Kushit. I hope you're doing great. Thank you very much for your kind words for me. I remember you very well, and we spent some really great time at Case.
Hmm. So that
What
was
more?
amazing. And then, of course, you're some great students, and they say that, sir, we remember you always used to say in the class 1, 2, 3. Uh,
Oh my
yes,
God.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
I also remember, maybe others also remember. In one class, you asked us that, okay, everyone, close your eyes and think for 60 seconds that you are dead, and then think about it. Like for 60 seconds, just close your eyes and think about if you are dead, what will happen to your relatives and everything on your future. So that was really interesting, actually.
Did you guys find it gross?
Amazing, amazing, actually, and I think everyone was really super amazed by this idea, and they really thought about some things.
Yeah, I still do that meditation sometimes, and it helps me stay content and geared up simultaneously.
Mhm.
Because,
So,
once you imagine where you are going, then you say, I better not waste any more time. I gotta do
yeah,
my
that
like,
together the focus. That's really interesting. So, all the viewers, they are welcome to ask the questions because Sir Wali will not be. We are talking about cross-cultural thing, and I'm again saying Sir Wali because
uh,
he was my
yeah.
professor once back there. I cannot say him. Wali is saying this. I cannot say that simply. So all of you are welcome to ask your questions. For example, Ramiz is saying that, sir, you resolved society conflicts. Uh,
I resolved some, I created some.
okay, that's really interesting. So Wali, Sir Wali. So we are talking about the cross-cultural teams, and then you said that some people will react differently. So how we can improve this situation?
Awareness. It's all
Awareness.
about awareness. And
Mhm.
I have a very interesting example coming to my mind.
Mhm.
You know what? About 3 years back, I was consulting with one of China's largest telecom company. You guys know about this company, but I won't say the name. And I was developing a training program, and I was working with my Chinese counterpart there, who was their training manager. And one time we were having a meeting together where we were talking about how are we going to unfold this training program and what are some of the items that we are going to use. And I was sitting and we were talking, and there came a point where we had a little bit of, difference in our point of view. Our
Mhm.
discussion got a little bit, he's giving his point of view, I'm giving my point of view. At one point, I kind of got exasperated. I wanted to catch breath.
Okay.
So I stood up from my seat and I just turned around and I turned back and I sat down on my seat. And when I looked at my Chinese counterpart, he stood up from his seat. He was standing by his seat behind the table and he was shaking with rage. He was furious. And I'm like, what happened to you, John? And he's like, how dare you turn your back on me?
Okay.
That was a very sort of critical situation. I felt really embarrassed as well. And the gentleman was furious, literally, and I didn't know what to do. And I said, John, I'm very sorry for turning my back on you, but my back was hurting and I just wanted to catch some breath. No, you
Mhm.
never turn your back on a Chinese fellow. And so you learn from your experience. But once you're working in a cross-cultural team, everybody, if they have a baseline understanding that we will take some time to understand each other's cultural ways of responding and
Mhm.
interacting with one another. Just allow yourself and other people lots of space.
Mhm.
Then in some time, things would get okay. Plus,
Mhm.
consultants like me are always there to help. So call me,
Yes.
and I can fix that problem.
Yeah, this was interesting. That's why I called you today, and it's a free session actually. So Ehsan Hafiz is asking how to deal with cross-cultural conflicts. While the person coming from different culture must adopt to the differences. So I will also add something to it. For example, many people are coming to Germany, for example. So is though they have to adopt to the culture, but they have to adopt to the German culture, or for example, they are colleagues from all over the world, so everybody behave differently, or even the local host country, the people from that, they have to adopt also slightly, so that giving space to each other. What do you think about that?
Right. You know what? Adaptation, integration, uh, assimilation, these are very negative terminologies. You don't have to, lose your cultural values. You have to practice your cultural values. But when we talk about cross-cultural situations, I always say that culture is more like a salad bowl. It's not like a melting pot. of color of different nationalities. When you look at salad bowl, there is onions, tomatoes, and leaves, and all of that different stuff. They are all mixed together, right, in a salad bowl. And yet, every ingredient in the salad bowl retains its own identity.
True. True.
And the beauty of cross-cultural teams is actually the bigger term is diversity. When we talk about diversity, the most important thing is that people with diverse cognitive and functional backgrounds should come together. We need people who think about things in different manners to come together in teams. And getting people from different cultural backgrounds is one of the ways to ensure cognitive diversity within the teams. And that cognitive diversity would only be there if you allow people from different cultural backgrounds to practice their culture as they feel fit to practice.
Mhm.
So, like if you're working in a team in Germany, your counterpart should easily understand that this is how Sharik has been communicating throughout his life. He's respectful. He maintains a certain amount of formality when he's talking. And Sharik must understand that maybe my American counterpart is a very frank and straightforward person, and they might not be practicing the mannerisms down to that minutest detail as we are used to be doing in our cultural background. But
Mhm.
that's very important, that type of understanding. But the main thing is that every organization has its own culture as well.
Yes.
And consultants like me or the training department, the resident consultants within an organization, they are usually working very hard to define that what is the culture of that particular organization.
Mhm.
And then organization tells you how are you going to write emails, how are you going to call for a meeting. There are standard operated procedures within the organization to conduct the daily business, and that is the organizational culture. And when you're trying to adjust or make sense of that organizational culture, you must not think about it like this organizational culture is challenging your actual culture, like the actual culture where you come from,
Mhm.
because everybody has to tune into that organizational culture. For
True.
example, one time IBM was one of the largest computer manufacturers. People working in IBM, they used to call them the big blues because they used to wear blue suits. Their
Mhm.
managers would wear blue suits. They had memberships in the most expensive clubs wherever they were located. And their communication was very dictatorial. IBM was a very, very dictatorial organization. Like there were seniors and juniors, and then there are senior uh,
Mhm.
people in the work teams, and everybody has to follow certain protocols to
Mhm.
work together in IBM.
Yes. So it's very important that awareness is very important. So you need to know about each other's culture and not cross the limits, but certain amount of freedom should be there. So Ramesh is asking that. As a Muslim, I also work. So he works for a Canadian company, and how should you reply to people about the question, why don't you drink? And do you think drinking is wrong? If they ask, like, do you think drinking is wrong? Do you think that we are doing wrong things? So if these kind of things.
Oh, Ramesh, you're working in a Canadian company. Canadian people are, my experience in Canada has been that they are the most, uh, they're the kind of people who have a huge understanding to respect people from different cultural backgrounds. Canada is a very big country. Our population is very low. Uh, Immigrants contribute a lot in the Canadian economy.
Mhm.
And within Canada, I realized that right from the day one at school, people, uh, you know, kids start learning about each other's cultures. So there is a lot of cultural understanding for different cultural backgrounds, and it's perfectly all right for you to say that.
Mhm.
I don't drink, and if you happen to be in a bar where people are drinking, maybe you you could drink an orange juice or whatever you want that is not alcoholic, and people are pretty
Mhm.
much understanding about that. For example, wherever I go in here, people tell me, "Hey, this is pork. You probably don't want to eat pork." And
Mhm.
in this beverage, we have alcohol. Uh, if I go to restaurants, people are pretty much understanding that there's people from
That's
different.
really great. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
just express yourself that okay, I don't want to do that, and that's it. Nobody's going to push you towards it.
Yeah, that's really great. But it's different in different cultures and also in different countries. So first of all, this is also important, as you said, awareness is very important point. So we need to learn about. We can even search online these days. A lot of information online. Not everything is correct, but about the way different communities behave, what
Yeah,
are very negative things to do in their culture, and what we should. So we should avoid them really. And of course, everyone should host and the guests have to give
yeah,
freedom to each other for to practice their cultures unless it is hurting someone else.
yeah. In multicultural situations, always be ready that you're going to make mistake. Uh, uh, you're going to take the Mikey. That's the terminology here. You're going to take the Mikey because you're
Mm,
not doing the things the way a lot of people around you are doing. So you're going to make mistakes. Always be ready for that. And when you
mm,
make a mistake, just don't push yourself, punish yourself too hard. Hey, I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have done that. I've
yeah.
seen people operating in multicultural situations. They become so sensitive and so self-conscious end of the day that it's kind of very difficult for them to behave spontaneously the way they do. You spend some time learning about the culture, and that's just about it. During that time period, just know that you're going to make lots and lots of mistakes.
Mm,
Same holds true from people from
mm,
other predominant cultures as well.
mhm. So Hassan is asking how to deal with the racism in a positive manner. Um, Being a consultant for so long, have you seen been to some organizations where there were some instances of racism? And if there is, what would you suggest for the employee who is the victim, and also for the organization as what will you suggest to the managers how they should deal with the situation if somebody is doing racism against others?
As far as I know, organizations out there today generally they think racism is their enemy number one. No organization likes to have racism because, frankly, an organization is about business. And business would only happen when people who come from different cultural backgrounds, they are able to actualize their potentials and talents into the work that they are doing. If your work is great, then their organization is progressing.
Mhm.
Usually, in the HR departments, there are certain guidelines that that spell out clearly that these types of behaviors are unknown and you could go to your HR department, talk to people over there, and you could find out if there is a racism policy, anti-racism policy. If there is no anti-racism policy, then you could talk to them about having one. But uh, tell you what, most of the complaints about racism are not actually racism. Most of those
Mhm.
complaints lack of understanding of each other's cultural backgrounds.
Mhm.
When people don't understand each other's cultural backgrounds, it's very easy to put them into a box. Like
Mhm.
I could easily say, "Hey, Sharik, you come from a different cultural background. Uh, I'm sorry, my culture does not behave that way."
Mhm.
And next time I'm going to look at you, I'm going to say, "This guy is from that particular place, and he doesn't know this stuff." This type of thinking is really bad. Because if Sharik tells me that, "Hey, this is what I am," then I would understand. A lot of times, you just have to communicate to people. In communication, there's something called disclaimer.
True.
If I have to give you a bad news, I would say, "Hey, Sharik, this is going to be a bad news, but I have to tell you, and I have
Mm.
news as well." So this is a disclaimer coming in. You can use lots of disclaimers, and you can say that uh, I might make mistakes, and I might say this, I might say that, and I might behave in a
True.
different way. But
So
always
again, you are back to the point that awareness is the key, and communication is very important. Often
yeah,
people see your behavior as something very wrong because they are unaware of it. So when you
yeah,
talk,
exactly.
Mhm.
It's a lack of awareness that creates a problem there.
so so Ramesh is asking that I have seen people from third world countries have high job insecurity, even though they are integral part of flow. Do you think this is due to educational systems in home country or left or low self-esteem about your nationality?
You know what? Migrating to another country and living there is a huge culture shock. It's a trauma. You are suddenly finding yourself in an environment where people are different. The first thing you learn that you cannot read people's body language because people's
True.
body language is totally different from the way that you were used to seeing people in your own country. That trauma actually hurts you,
Mm.
and if you are not very well prepared, uh, loss of self-esteem a lot of times
Mm.
is the consequence of that. But if
Mhm.
you're going through something like that, you need to read, you need to improve your awareness. You could do it by reading books. There is a great book that I would recommend Renice to read, or our entire audience. The book's name is Managing Across Culture, and it's written by Charlene M. Solomon.
Okay.
Uh, that book will give you a very clear understanding of different cultures in terms of five different dimensions: how people communicate, how they handle time, how they handle hierarchy, and what is their understanding of work-life balance. Uh, increasing your awareness about different cultures is the way to get out of that type of stress.
Yes, so that's very important and increasing awareness. But as Ramesh is also correct, so he mentioned about the sense of insecurity because a lot of competition is ongoing. When we are growing up in Pakistan or Asia, the job insecurity, if you will get a good job or not, and once in a job, then there is a struggle to succeed and go to the managerial level, to next levels. But
Yeah.
once we are here, we saw that it's a bit different. People are very casual. Many people are living whole life and they don't want to become managers, for example, and they're very casual. They're going and they're taking breaks for jogging in working hours and then coming back. Maybe he meant this thing. Again, we're talking about awareness of different
Yeah.
cultures and about your environment because it is different in different situations. For example, there can also be certain additional challenges with job.
Yeah.
For example, visa challenges. Somebody's visa is going to expire. He doesn't find the job, or
Oh
he
my
loses
God.
the job. These kind of things are also there, right?
That's a terrible situation,
Yes.
eh?
So again, I think so many people will be interested to know a little bit more about your journey in Canada, your experience so far. So you moved there in 2013. Only the things you want to disclose to our audience.
Okay, only all those things. But before I come down to myself, I would say a few things to address Ramiza's question. When we move into a different country, we must be prepared that it's not going to be a very easy journey. But usually, when we find us into a different country, we get to come across lots and lots of really nice people. So
Mm.
try to concentrate on your positive experiences. And when there is a negative experience, try to question that. Maybe that negative experience is there because you misunderstood something, you misperceived something. So always
Mhm.
question yourself over there. I see a tendency amongst the immigrants that they are very good at their tech jobs, especially if their initial education has been outside the country that they have migrated to. They're very good at their technical skills, and they're very good at the knowledge that they need to have in order to perform their job. But their soft skills usually,
Mhm.
soft skills is a big challenge for them.
I totally
And
agree with this,
yeah,
100%.
if you want to become a manager, if you want to come to the leadership role, then you have to improve your soft skills. But once you're trying to improve your soft skills, it's a double jeopardy because first of all, our soft skills are something that we have to learn, but then we have to adapt these soft skills to the host country that we are operating into. So you not only need to understand what is good communication skills, you need to understand what is good communication skills in this particular environment.
True.
And that type of change sometimes requires you to, you know, uh, that's a massive amount of change. That's kind
Mm.
of tough.
Mm. Mm.
So you were talking about my journey.
Yes.
Look, I migrated to Canada in 2013 with my family. When I came to Canada, I had about 12 years of consulting experience. I was an OD consultant. I had worked in various different countries, but in 2013, I thought that I I want to go back to school.
Mhm.
I want to study. This was just a thought. I migrated to Canada. I came to Waterloo. Waterloo is more like the Silicon Valley of Canada. It's all tech here.
Mhm.
And I was shopping for different programs that would go along with my past experience, my past background, because I wanted to start a consulting company. And I found a really great course. It was Masters of Peace and Conflict Studies. I joined in that program. It took me a year and a half to finish that program. During that program, I found out, oh my God, standing on the other side of the desks is so much more freedom. Being a professor is so much more freedom, and being a student
Mhm.
is like, I don't want
Mhm.
to. Yeah.
Yes, yes, true.
Yes. So I did that. Upon graduation, I started behavioral skills company as a startup at the University of Waterloo Accelerator Program.
Mhm.
Went through the stages of infancy, grew up a little bit, became teenagers, then became self-sustainable. And during the last 5 years, we have really created our mark here. Uh, my work is mostly with tech companies, insurance companies, and banking industry. Within
Mhm.
tech companies, it's mostly team building issues. Within insurance companies and banks, it's team building issues, plus they need to understand their customers as well. Like if
Mhm.
you look at the region of Waterloo, this is 535,000 people here. And this half a million population comes from 170 different cultural backgrounds. So you can
Wow.
imagine if you are trying to target a particular insurance product to this population, you need to have a very good understanding of what kind of different cultural backgrounds are living here.
True,
Because if
true.
you're going by your North American ways to target your customer, market them in communication, then that's not going to work out, and the competition is pretty high.
Mhm.
So in Canada, everybody has to have some their cultural IQ, multicultural IQ improved. Organizations have realized, and they are trying to improve the capacity of their employees really fast.
Mhm. Yeah, that's very interesting. Uh, so, so you came to Waterloo. Did some more courses to adapt to it, and now you are working as an organization development consultant there, and it has been a wonderful experience for you so far, right?
Oh, it was
Uh,
baptism by fire, I would say.
So now, because you're helping the organizations to develop the personal skills also, in the current situation when the normal businesses have changed, it's like a kind of emergency situation for many people. Many people have become jobless.
Yeah,
For the managers, it's also difficult to tell their employees, okay, now we have to reduce the team size, or one of the very loyal colleagues or some of very loyal team members have to leave the company.
yeah,
This time also the managers also need consultancy, the employees need consultancy, because this is not a normal situation,
uh,
something pandemic, and many people have become jobless. So what do you think your role as a consultant in organizational development has become more important in this situation? But do you think there is some differences you feel now you have to also learn new tactics in this situation?
my role is definitely a lot more important. But whenever a crisis happens, the first thing the organizations cut down on is on training in HR consulting.
Mhm.
So they are trying to focus the funds to only those products or those projects that are very, very important. But this
Okay.
is really a tough time. This is calling for everyone to, something that they used to say in the military, uh,
Mhm.
survive, adapt, survive, escape. Uh, in this situation, we should say adapt, survive, and grow.
Yeah, we
I
cannot
would
escape this,
say,
we have to face it. Yes, need to
yeah,
grow.
exactly. Look at yourself. You are doing a job, and now you're not doing it 100%, and so you found another outlet to express your talents and potentials. And while you're doing it, you're finding a lot more stuff about yourself. And who knows, maybe in the future you're going to be the Team Sebastian of Germany.
Let's see.
Isn't it? So
Mhm.
it's definitely hard times, but then to go through hard times, we need to, calm ourselves down and try to think that how could I understand the situation? How could I adapt myself to it? And how could I grow? The other day, I was reading an article, like one organization is making money out of COVID-19. If you look at Amazon, they are, a couple days back, they reported that they are hiring 70,000 employees. They are hiring while
Yes.
everyone else is laying out employees, they are hiring employees. If you look at Netflix, these streaming channels, uh, their sales has increased exponentially. So there are
Mhm.
organizations who are taking.
Yes. For example, we are staying at home and then we are ordering everything on Amazon. And of course, Amazon is growing and we are staying at home. Then we need Netflix and these kind of tools for streaming. So these kind of businesses are growing. E-learning will grow definitely. Healthcare services will grow definitely. So as a employee who has suffered from job loss, they should also now consider about the essentials, for example, that cannot stop. For example, healthcare cannot stop, or for example, this industry of grocery items. So now the all those industries where there is that is necessity, they will keep growing. Maybe luxury will
Yeah.
not grow temporarily. So we need to be also adapt and grow. Very rightly said. So Ramesh is asking that. As a coach, do you use analytics tools, business intelligence tools, or control groups, or surveys? I think we have some little bit of signal problem. Sir Wali, let's hope he'll be back soon. Uh, in the meanwhile, I will ask all the audience now. We are heading towards last 5 to 10 minutes of our show. I hope you really enjoyed it. Please give your feedback. Also, give feedback what kind of topics you need me to discuss in the next days. I hope Ramadan is also going well for all of you. It's a fasting month. So today we discussed a very important topic: cross-cultural teams. It's impossible that you're working in these days in global village time and you don't have people from different culture working with them. So you need to adapt. You need to respect each other's cultures and you let them, give them freedom to do what they want to do, but of course there are some limits, we should not cross them. So I hope that Mr. Wali will be joining us back soon. Until that time, uh, I need you guys to help me to continue. Like we can try 2 minutes to something interesting, write in comments. Did you like the show, or what will be the questions that I can ask him when he's back? Or after the show, I will ask him to give some answers. I hope everybody is doing fine in this COVID time. I hope everybody is doing fine in Ramadan. If somebody has lost their job or their friends lost some jobs in this situation, or they have some new ideas regarding online business or something they can do from home, they want to share with others. Please write in comments. It will be really really helpful. So I think we will end our show now, and then uh, my son is also in the background. So Ramesh is saying that do show on security, securing your footprints online. So in the meanwhile, I'm that's great. That's great that you are back because I was almost out of words.
Right, right. I understand. I put you in a very difficult situation there. You
So
know
that's
what
okay.
happened?
That's
This is called
wonderful.
this is called preparedness for a crisis. Uh,
Yes.
as you know, I was on a Mac and then I had to shift onto this Windows-based laptop, but
Yes.
I forgot to plug the charger in.
Okay. So that's also amazing. So we are talking about problems in the times of COVID, but similarly, there are a lot of opportunities that are coming. So normally in our daily lives, we are so stuck in our work. We are the, we started our job in some company XYZ, and we are working there since 10 years, and we forgot the world around us. But the world has changed in 10 years.
Oh
But
yeah.
we did not had any time to think about the world. Now we have time to think. For example, 10 years ago, we could not do these kind of video conferences, And now
Yeah.
you're sitting in Canada, I'm sitting in Germany, and our viewers are in Pakistan, India, Germany, all over the world. So
Yeah.
new technology is coming, and new kinds of business opportunities are also coming. And I think this time, if somebody has lost a job, if even they are at home, they can really use it to learn how they can change their career, or maybe they started a job that was not their passion, but they
Uh-huh.
are doing it, and now they can really think about it. Okay, I have to regather my energies and work out for my passion. What do you think about this?
But that's perfectly true. Like we discussed, it's survive, adapt, survive, and grow.
Mhm.
So the most important thing to realize is that okay, there is a crisis. We are going through this crisis right now. Like in Canada, it's a couple of months that we are in isolation situation. We are at home,
Mhm.
and I'm kind of, although I feel really sorry for the whole world right now. But when I talk to people around me, they all say the same thing, that I am kind of enjoying myself being at home these days. I'm getting so much time talking to my kids. Uh, at the start, a couple months at the start of this isolation period, I was just thinking. Me and my wife were thinking that, oh my God, this is going to be tough. Both of us are going to stay home, and that's a
Mhm.
potential for conflict arising over there. But I tell you what, amazing thing is that the flame of romance is rekindled during these last couple of months. So
Excellent.
I'm having a very romantic time period of my life, Alice.
Yeah, that's really great. So now we are going towards the last 5 minutes, and I'm sure this will be very interesting because we had a wonderful talk today.
Oh
And
yeah.
last 5 minutes are normally even best. So we will answer first a couple of questions. So Ramesh was asking you before the connection dropped that uh, do you use some analytics tools, business intelligence tools, or control groups and surveys to guide people?
Oh, we use all types of tools actually. Once we go into organizations, first of all, we do lots and lots of surveys. Then
Mhm.
we depend a lot upon consulting organizations like McKinsey and Deloitte's reports, because every year they publish a report on the global human capital
Mhm.
plans. We understand that as well. And consulting happens in this way, like an HR manager or a sales manager of an insurance company would talk to us and they would say that, okay, we are having this number of sales people and this is a competition within the market and we are
Mhm.
want to grab that competition. And we find out that there is a window that if our salespeople are much aligned to
Mhm.
multicultural communication skills, and they'll be able to tap into people who are not from their cultural backgrounds.
Yeah.
So consulting always happens on the basis of understanding the customer's needs, their markets, and there's lots of tools.
So
So
first you have to understand them with
yeah,
the surveys, for example.
yeah,
Then different.
like one of the tools that we are working and it's going to be online very soon. It's called HIT assessment. It is how ignited is your team assessment, and we try to make it really really simple. It's going to be 15 questions. People just rate those 15, each of those 15 questions on a 5-point scale. And once we get that as the questionnaire filled out, we're going to understand that what is the how psychologically safe they feel
Mhm.
within their teams, how much cognitive diversity is there, and what is the condition of their behavioral skills to operate as a team.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Ehsan is asking, I'm not sure if his name is Ehsan or Ehsan. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong.
Mhm.
Please, my son is, he's saying like,
Oh,
okay, come back, sir.
oh, let it be in the background. This is COVID situation. You don't need to feel bad about it.
So he also says that he wants to discuss this further in future, but you can say a few words now also about this soft skills like time management, setting priorities, and handling work stress.
Handling work stress. He's asking. He's got a big list of demands over there, but I could definitely say something about stress management. First of all, you need to understand why do you feel stressed at all. There's something called fight or flight reaction. The way stress works is that uh, something goes wrong suddenly, and you find out that your heart begins to race and all of your blood supply goes into your muscles and your body begins to shake. This is the basic reaction that happens in stress. That that's exactly the time period when your superpowers are not by your side. They are not working to your advantage. Like if you're good at communication skills and you're going through times of stress, you're mostly going to find out that you are not being able to communicate that effectively as you should be able to. That's because you are always in a higher level of stress somehow.
Mhm.
Stress happens this way. There is perception, assessment of situation, and once the situation is being assessed, your medulla oblongata initially comes into reaction, and if it thinks that this is a situation of extreme emergency, it never allows that information to go into the higher brain center to process that
Mhm.
information.
Stress management is really important and it affects negatively our working abilities, right?
Oh yeah, it works us very, very negatively. So you
Mhm.
practice some deep breathing, some deep muscle relaxation, do some meditation, take a walk, do some exercise every day. Uh, like
Change of environment, yeah, changing the place for some time, maybe.
if you can, but a lot of stress you could just simply bust it by going out running. Like
Yes.
I run a lot. Do you guys know that?
You look very slim and smart, we are getting, fat,
I run 5 miles sometimes.
that's really good, that's the maybe secret. Okay,
But
thank
tell
you
you what,
very,
I started running just like a year back. I thought that
okay.
I always hated running, and I would not be able to run for more than 200 meters. And
Mhm.
I gradually started running, and one day I found out that maybe I could go for like a half a kilometer, and then it turned into a kilometer and 2 kilometers. That's how it goes.
Mhm.
So tell your friend, Mr. Hassan, to do some workout. Eh?
Yeah, I think that's really great. Now the time is ending. I will ask you to summarize our again the same thing in last 2 minutes. What we were saying. What are the cross-cultural teams that we discussed today in detail? But for viewers who joined in the end, and why the cross-cultural teams are important, what are the challenges, and how the organizations and also the employees can address these challenges. So you can give some nice tip, and also especially for the viewers, mostly Pakistani and Indian people coming in the Western countries, how they should react in this situation.
Okay, that's a tall order. So I want to tell our audience that you must know that cross-cultural working situation is there now. Everybody has to interact with people from different cultural backgrounds. You cannot be limited to just staying in one country because understand that everything is happening online, and at one point or another, you're going to come across people from a different cultural background. So cross-cultural uh, work situation is always going to be there. When you get into that situation, always remember that you're going to make lots and lots of mistakes. So don't punish yourself too hard about it. Always try to inquire from people about their cultural backgrounds. And once you make mistakes, just laugh about that. Because those mistakes and those situations are pretty funny situations. Just
Mhm.
laugh about that and increase your awareness about different cultures as much as possible.
Yes, I think these are wonderful tips. It will really help the viewers and those who join later. They
Uh-huh.
can see the recording of this because we really discuss a lot of things about cross-cultural communication and how we can be effective employees and how we can um, communicate with our colleagues
Yeah.
effectively. It was a wonderful discussion. Thank you, Wali, Mr. Wali. And I think we discussed about this also, that here we will say Wali, but I cannot say you Wali because you
Oh,
are
you
my
can say
teacher.
that. Okay.
Yeah, you have allowed me, but I don't feel like I can say hi Wali because you
See,
were my teacher
it's
back
something
then.
inside you to be able to do that.
Yeah, so thanks, Wali.
Thank you very much, Sharik, for
It
having
was
me
a
on
pleasure
the
to have
show.
you on our show. We really
Yeah.
enjoyed. We really discussed a lot of interesting things, and wish you further all the best for your future. And maybe somebody will have some questions. I will send you again for your feedback.
Well, thank you very much. It was lovely talking to you. It was lovely interacting with the audience and especially the people who who we knew from the past, and I was able to speak with them today. I felt pretty great about that. Thanks a
Yeah.
lot. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot. And thanks
Have
a
a
lot
great day.
for all the viewers who asked a lot of questions, especially Ramiz and also Hassan for their lot of questions. And we will see you in another episode very soon. Until then, bye bye from Munich and goodbye, Mr. Wali from Waterloo, Canada.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Hasta
Bye.
luego, folks.
Assalamu
Hey,
alaikum.
bye.
Bye.